Welcome to Everything Life and Real Estate. Let's get started with our hosts, Linda McKissick and Dana Gentry.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Everything Life and Real Estate. I'm Linda McKissick.
And I'm Dana Gentry.
Hey, Dana, how are you? I feel like it's been forever.
I know, it has been forever. What have you been up to?
Let's see. Trip to the hospital, which was unexpected. A trip to
Now,
Ohio
everybody's
to
going to
teach
be
Fierce
blowing
Conversations.
me up when they hear that. So tell them that you're okay.
Yeah, I'm totally okay. It's just for some reason, weird reason, my heart went into AFib, and they just have to shock you and get it back. I mean, like a 1% chance that it would happen to someone like me, but there you go. I just am lucky in the wrong thing. I don't know why I can't be that lucky in like gambling or something,
Winning the lottery.
winning the lottery or something. But anyway, it's all good. But I just kind of think my acupuncturist actually found it first that day and just asked me, did I have AFib or whatever they call it, the long word? And I'm like, no, I don't have that. And she's like, well, your energy's through the roof, and you've got a virus. So she treated me and everything. And then that night it went into AFib, which is
Now,
so.
how did she know that though?
She does energy work. So she will
Okay.
test your energy. And they say virus is one of the main reasons you can get kicked into AFib.
Yep.
There's many: low magnesium, high thyroid, I think, or low thyroid, one or the other. So there's lots of different reasons. And then the more people I talk to, the more people are like, oh yeah, I had that. Like it's a common cold. Somebody should have prepared me. But anyway, so it was good. I was in on Friday, out on Sunday, and up in Ohio on Monday. So not much in between.
No slowing down.
I was like, I got to teach Fierce for Pam, and you don't know Pam. She's not going to be happy if I don't show up and teach Fierce.
I saw
So
it looked like you had a great crowd for that.
yeah, it was like 34 people. It was really good.
Yeah.
Fierce is one of those
Where did
classes
you all do it in?
at the Vandalia office, which is
Okay, I
really
wondered.
nice office. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really was. So,
Yeah, that's
so
great.
today we're going to actually answer one of the questions that we've been submitted to the podcast,
Yep.
which is how do you manage the desire to grow your business and take on new opportunities while prioritizing family time? So I'll let you go first, or I'll go first. Doesn't matter which one.
Well, Adam and I were on a big walk this morning, and he said, "What are you guys doing? What are you and Linda doing your podcast on?" And I told him, and I said, I think I'll do a lot of listening on this one because I'm still trying to figuring out how to take on new opportunities while prioritizing family time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no,
Yeah.
it was a really good question, honestly, and I feel like everybody has been kind of thinking that, and honestly, maybe even more so during COVID and since the pandemic, it seems like people are prioritizing family time more, and they're
Mhm.
wanting to be more present. They're wanting to have that balance, kind of, if you will, and still be able to grow and take on new opportunities too. I made some notes thinking about this yesterday, and I think for me over the last couple of years, I've just gotten really clear on my values and where I want to be, and
Mhm.
it's hard, and you know this, you're kind of the same way too, but I want to say yes to everything.
Yeah. So true.
And so really looking at it and saying, okay, what's getting me closer to where I want to be, while still being able to spend time with family. And especially for me, it's hard because I live in two states.
Mhm.
And so, that's been a big challenge for us, is me continuing to grow and take opportunities, yet be able to spend time with Adam and the kids and my family, and, still see my mom and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Because is everybody of your family there?
Yeah.
And wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mom's been going back and forth. She'll stay in Kentucky some, and then she comes here some and stays with us, but she really just kind of helps with the dogs and the kids and stuff like that when we need her. But yeah, she will end up here. She wants to be in Charleston long term.
Mm. Yeah, what makes me sad is when people kind of think it has to be either or,
Mhm.
because what I always relate back to is, and I love what you said about getting clear on your values, because one of the things I wrote down is, well, first of all, you got to get in clear about what do you want the end to look like. I mean, what
Yep.
are you trying to achieve? What are you trying to get to? Um, and is the opportunities you're saying yes to going to actually get you there? So kind of works along the same line as you, but it really, I hate it when people think it's either or. And I think a
Yep.
lot of times when people think about taking on more opportunity, they think about how hard it was to get them to where they are now. And most of what got them to where they are now is themselves,
Yeah.
which you only have so much time when you're just doing it yourself.
Yep.
And what you have to realize is, no, you couldn't do it the same way you did what you did to get you here. You're going to have to change some things. And
Yep.
I think that's what holds people back is they look at how hard it was to get them to the level they are, and most of that was all about them
Yep.
and their time and trading time for opportunity. Whereas when you move forward at some point in your life, you're going to have to do things differently. And the thing that always makes me feel better is when I think about two things. One, when I look at someone who's created something bigger than me
Mm-hmm.
and they still kept their quality of family time.
Yep.
Um, because I think, well, if one person can do it, all of us can do it.
Yep.
And then the second thing is when I look at that everybody only has 24 hours and there's people out there doing it with that 24. And so it really isn't, either or. It's how do I do it? And
Yep.
just like someone else has done it with the same 24 that I have, right? With that, I don't look at the people that have sacrificed their family for it, but there are plenty of people out there who've built big lives, taken on more opportunity. Because I think people don't realize that sometimes for some people, more opportunity is part of what fills their soul. They're
Mm-hmm.
just wired in such a way that, you know, if I was home 24/7 and doing nothing but family, I wouldn't be happy because I need more stimulation of opportunity and different things like that. That just kind of makes me complete in who I am. And again,
Yep.
too much of that the other way I wouldn't be happy either. So
Yeah.
I think you got to find that balance, counterbalance, and and know that if somebody else out there has done this, you can too.
Yep. Yeah, I totally agree with that. So a long time ago, I don't know if we talked about this on the podcast or not before, but I got a worksheet actually from Brian Gubernick, and it's called a business opportunity filter. I need to send this to you. I don't know if we've talked about this or not, but I pulled it up when we were thinking about doing this podcast because it talks about the opportunity side and like taking on new opportunities or thinking about doing a new business, and it's like an actual worksheet. Actually, we can probably attach this. It's from Metrics. I'm sure Brian wouldn't care if we shared it, so we might be able to just attach this in our show notes. But it talks a lot about you list the opportunity that you're interested in. And then it says, what's the upside? Like projecting 3 to 5 years out, what's the potential? What is it in income? And then what is it just for everything else? What are the dangers or challenges that exist? Are there obstacles that you have to overcome? And then there's a lot. But the third question to me is probably one of the most important ones. Who is the jockey? Meaning like who is the who? Because now I feel like you've been this way for a long time and I've just been getting in this way, but if I'm going to do a new opportunity, then there has to be a who, because if I don't want to, I can't take anything else physically, and keep the balance of the family time and stuff. So I feel like a lot of it has to do with you finding a who, or knowing who the who is going to be if you are going to take on another opportunity. And then it kind of goes on to say how many people will be involved. What are you bringing to the table? Are you bringing time? Are you bringing influence? Or are you bringing capital? And then how do you feel about that? On a scale of 1 to 10, eliminating 4, how passionate are you about the opportunity? That's a big
Mhm.
one, because there's all kinds of opportunities out there and people want you to do everything. But if I'm not passionate about it moving forward, then I'm probably not going to be saying yes to it. And then the next question, I love, how loud will the business be? How much noise will it create in your world? Meaning, like, how much time is it really going to take up? What is the business's moat? What's special about it? Is there travel involved? And then the last one is, does your existing business already provide the customers for the new venture? Or is it
Mhm.
like a total separate thing? So I think I just love that. I think it's so good. I've used it
Mhm.
a lot of times. And I think when you're talking about taking on new opportunities, even just asking yourself a couple of those questions and really spending time to think about it, to me, is important moving forward. Because sometimes, especially when you're a quick start like you and I are, or
Mhm.
you want to say yes to everything, you don't think through some of those questions like, well, wait a minute, is there going to be travel involved? Or am I bringing just money, or am I bringing a lot of time, or who is the who? And when you go through those things, to me, it kind of gives more clarity on, okay, this might be something I want to look further into, or no, like all these questions, this is just too much.
Yeah. I think most of the messes that I've gotten myself into in life is when I didn't do any preparation or planning or thinking through. That's where
Yep.
I love something like that, sitting down with a tool like that, or like the impact filter from
Yep.
Strategic Coach, because by the time you spend that much time thinking about something, you're going to really either know that it should be a yes or know that it should be a no. My problem is sometimes I don't listen to that instinct.
Yep.
I go ahead and do it anyway. And then
Yep.
I've also found that giving myself space when people are starting to ask again to travel and teach, and it's like, okay, I've already said yes to a couple, and I've already dreaded that I've said yes to a couple and it'll be fine once I go. Um,
Yep.
but it's like, what were you thinking? It's just I want to help. I'm like you. I want to help people out, and I want those people to say yes when we want them to come to our region. So,
Yep.
but it's really a hard situation. So you've got to put some kind of filter or space or person in between some of those requests, because
Yeah.
not all opportunity is equal. And so one of the questions I would say is, what will this opportunity do for my family?
Yep.
And then the other thing is, what I've done successfully in the past is sit down with my family and explain the, the consequences for all of us. What will each of us have to give up in order to make this opportunity happen? And what does that mean to you? What would make it
Yep.
special to you? And so that's helped me in the past, just to include my family. Um, I don't know if I told you this story or not, but the other day I was at a service place, and the service girl that was servicing me, she said, what do you do? And I said, well, I'm in the real estate business. She goes, oh, my mom's in the real estate business. And she proceeded to tell me that it made her always feel like she wasn't important, that every time the phone rings, her mom picks up the phone.
Yep.
And she said, I said, well, do you tell her that? And she said, well, no, I usually just say, I understand you're busy. So it broke my heart, because I thought, we could fix so much of all the issues we have by being with our family when we're with our family. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like, I think
Yep.
sometimes we feel guilty and like we're letting our family down, because what we really know is we're not actually spending quality time with our family when we actually could. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So that one really broke my heart, because I thought, I wonder how many realtors this would be their story. I know at one point in my life it would have been mine, you know,
Yeah.
and
We have a joke in like in our house, and actually we were just joking about this last night, because Josh and Heath, my best friends, who have been in Charleston this week, they just left this morning, and my brother and Caitlin, and they were all over here. And normally I'm the one that, if I get like in my phone into something, and and everybody will be like, Dana, Dana, Dana. And I sometimes I don't even hear, like we'll be at the same table, but I'm so into responding to what an email or a text or whatever. And so my brother did that 2 nights ago, and we were talking about something, and we had been talking about it for 10 minutes. And Chris looked up and said, I don't even remember what it was now, but he said, oh, I meant to ask you about such and such. And we were like, are you kidding me? You're literally at the table, and we've been talking about it for 10 minutes. And so I was giving him a hard time, because I said, finally, you will always give me such a hard time about that. And now you see what it's like. And he said, well, I was responding to an email about something. And I said, exactly. That's what happens to me. But it's so true, because then
mhm.
we'll be at the same table and totally not present. Like I don't even hear what's happening around me sometimes, and it's terrible. And I have given Adam permission to like call me out on that when it does happen, so that I know that I'm doing it.
Yeah. Well, and yesterday when I taught Fierce Conversation, what an aha that I had during it, I always have one, at least probably 10, but was that, one of the main concepts of Fierce Conversations is the conversation is the relationship. So if it's
Yep.
muted or distracted or missing or whatever, you can imagine what it says about your relationship. And I started thinking about how much the phone is sucking, because Jimmy is terrible about it. I'm probably am too and just don't see it, but he's terrible about it. I mean, like literally his face will be in it forever. And
Yeah.
I think, man, what are we missing with everybody's face stuck in a phone, right? And what does that say about our relationships? Because there is no conversation. There's literally none. It's like crickets
Yeah.
because the
I
face is in the phone.
I just I taught I did a Zoom last week on branding. It was so good. Oh my gosh. You really should go back and watch that, Linda. I'm going to send it to you. It was
Yes,
amazing.
please do.
I had Scott Euler on from Cincinnati, the Cincinnati area. Then I had one of my friends, Garrett Addington. He did 243 units last year in our small town where I'm from in Bristol by himself I mean, he just is crushing it. And then Heath was on. They were all talking about building a brand and all of those things. But we got on there, and it was funny because we were talking about recently, and a couple of them had done this too, but on the iPhone now, you can go into your settings and you can go into screen time, and you can set a screen time for an app, for a certain app, a limit. So, because I like to be active on Instagram and Facebook, and I like to post about my day, and I think it's a great way to engage and to grow your business and all those things. Yet I think you can get sucked into it too, and then you're just like you said, your face is in your phone all day. And so now you can go on there. So I've been setting myself a limit of an hour a day. And when you've been in the app for an hour, a little thing comes up and says your limit's reached. Now you can hit ignore, but I'm really trying not to, because once I've posted what I've posted and I've looked and caught up on people's lives, like after that, I need to go back to focusing on what I'm focusing on, or spending that time engaging with Adam or with our family, because it can suck you in.
Mm-hmm. Does it accumulate the time? So if I spent 15 minutes here and then another 15, would it say 30 minutes, or is that in one consecutive hour?
No, it accumulates all day. So you
You
could
remember?
do 5 in the morning and 15, or whatever. But then the scary thing is, it'll show you what your average time is in each app. And so then you can go back and look, before that for the week, and you're like, holy crap, I spent 2 hours on Instagram that day. I mean, it's just crazy. And I feel like there has to be a fine line, because we post a lot of stuff about the offices on there and about our business and about the podcast, and all this stuff. So it's like sometimes you're working. I am, when I'm on there, but then I get stuck in the swipe ups. And then before I know it, I've bought 3 things, and I've looked at other people, what they've done for the day, and you're like, okay.
I was at an event a few years ago, and I think it was that Paul Mitchell guy that has all the hair stuff. Or
Mm-hmm.
I think that's who it was. It's one of the big hair people. He has tons of hair products. He doesn't even have a phone at all.
Wow.
He's never engaged in any of that stuff. He just said, I just chose not to do it. And he runs multi-billion-dollar businesses.
Wow.
But I thought, wow, that's, there's always a different perspective and a different way to look at it. And so, kind
Yep.
of back to our topic as we wrap up today, that's the way you should think about your opportunity. If you go in with the mindset, I am not going to allow it to mess with my family
Yep.
time and, uh, you know, and all the things that I need to be doing. I'm gonna find a way to do that. And
Yep.
I promise you, we had everybody in our leadership academy over the last month go back and write down every 15 minutes what they saw themselves doing. And that is one of the greatest exercises you can do,
Yep.
because when you say, I don't have time for another opportunity or whatever, 9 times out of 10, you do. You're just choosing to spend it someplace else. So,
Yeah.
number one, what would this opportunity do for your family? Because, when I look at my life now, I've, come a long journey here in the real estate business. Some of the opportunities that I took that were, one of those that most people wouldn't take, like getting on a plane, flying to Ohio a week a month. I look at it now and it's become an opportunity for my kids.
Totally.
Preston's now in the business, Anna's now in the business.
Yep.
And so if I would have not found a way to
Yep.
do it and not sacrifice my family, they wouldn't have the legacy and the opportunity that they have. So
Yep.
I think there's pros and cons both way, and I think we have people in our life that tend to always be asking us, "Why do you want to do more?" And they never say. No one ever comes to you and says, "Well, here's the beautiful thing about at one point in my life saying yes to a bigger opportunity." No, they're not saying, they're not telling you all those parts. They're only saying, why would you want to do more? Isn't that going to take away from your family? Are you never going to be home now? I mean, all of those things.
Yeah, you just said something that actually made me think about this. And I wrote this down to share. But when you know the stuff that you are not going to say no to, like we sit down, I've shared this a ton of times before on the podcast, but I mean, we sat down with our whole entire calendars for every month for the whole entire year. And it's completely blocked out. I mean, my calendar is done through the end of December, and then things pop up. But what we did do, where we put the vacations and we put the things that we are not going to miss in there. And a big part of us prioritizing family time were the kids' tennis tournaments. And then, so for May, the kids have a tennis tournament the weekend of the 27th and 28th. But then I'm sure you got this email. I was actually going to ask if you were going. But then we get an email to go be with Gary Keller in Austin on the 25th and 26th of May. So to make sure that I am not going to, that I'm not going to miss the kids tennis tournament, because that was on my calendar from the beginning of the year. I'm teaching in Indiana, then I'm teaching in Kentucky, then I'm getting on a plane flying to Austin, and then I'm flying from Austin back to Charleston, where my car will be in Kentucky, but because I'm going to the kids' big tennis tournament, and then I go to Cabo for my girls' trip, and then I come back. So I'm trying to figure out how in the heck I'm going to get my car back from Kentucky. I have no clue at this point, but it was already in there, and I'm just not going to, even though things pop up, I'm just working around it. I mean, it's going to be a little more expensive. It's going to be a long 2 weeks. But that was what I committed to do. And so I think sometimes if I wouldn't have had that planned out and had already committed to that, then I would have been like, I'll just miss it and go to the next, I'll catch another one or whatever, which is probably what I would have done 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But it's just, I think once you can really plan the things with your family that you're not going to miss, then you just figure it out. You just figure out a way to work around it.
Yeah, and it may be an early red eye flight. I've done many red eye flights from conferences or something to get back to something the kids have. Yeah, I just think you have to be so committed to it that you find a way. Otherwise, you have to be committed that I do want to take advantage of this opportunity, but I'm going to figure out how to do it and not take away from my family. And yes, I am going to go to that mastermind, and I'm going to take Matt with me, and because we're excited about talking about expansion and all that good stuff.
Oh, cool.
So, okay. So any last thoughts you would give to someone who's conflicted about that they have a desire to grow their business, take advantage of more opportunity, but afraid they'll sacrifice their family?
I just think the biggest thing is just get clear on what's important to you and what your values are and where you want to be in 10 years. And don't get caught up in the excitement of saying yes to every single thing. Because usually you regret doing that, when it's not the right opportunity. I just think I like what you said, the space, and just give yourself time to think about it.
Yeah, that's a great point. And ask yourself, why am I saying yes to some of these things? Does it really give me energy and fill me up? Or am I just saying yes because I don't want to say no to people?
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Totally love it. This was a really great question. I loved, we missed finding out who sent the question. So I don't know who sent it, but it was a good one.
Yeah, I don't know either. We'll have to go back and look and see. But hopefully they're listening and they got their answers. So remember, if you have a question, comment, or a thought, be sure and submit it to us at info@everythinglifeandrealestate. We'll be sure and try to answer it on air. And if you get an opportunity and you haven't hit subscribe below, please do that now. And let's help Dana and I get to 500 reviews on our podcast. And again, if you know of anyone who would benefit from this podcast, be sure and pass it along. So Dana, I'll see you next week.
Sounds good. See you then.
Be sure to subscribe for more business strategies and tactics to inspire you to live an abundant real estate life. Don't forget to rate and review so we can bring you the best content. Find this and other valuable information at everythinglifeandrealestate.com.